What's up, vapors? Thanks for checking out Daily Vape TV. My name is Nick, and today we're going to be taking a look at the Vape Forward Vaporflask Stout. So before we get started here today, I do have to state my intent by saying that I did receive this product for free for the purpose of doing this review. However, my opinions on it will remain honest and unbiased as always. So I would like to thank the people that gave this to me. So 2 big thumbs up and a big thank you goes out to Craft Vapery. They're the ones that sent this along for this review. So thank you guys so very much. I do appreciate it. Of course, check the links in the description if you want to get one of these for yourself. And you can also use my coupon code, which is going to get you 10% off this device here. So with that being said, let's go ahead and move on to some specs of this device. So first of all, it fires at 1 to 100 watts. The lowest it will fire down to is 0.1 ohms, and the highest it will fire is 3.5 ohms. It has upgradable firmware and a Wismec designed chipset. It has 3 different temperature control modes, including nickel, titanium, and stainless steel. For the lowest resistance on the temperature control is 0.05 ohms, and the highest is 1 ohm, and it has 200 to 600 degrees Fahrenheit for the actual temperature itself. It also features bypass mode, which is going to mimic a mechanical style device or an unregulated style device, and it fires the entire battery voltage to whatever device you have on top. It has a nice trim and compact design. It's very ergonomic and fits your hand really nicely. As I stated in my original unboxing, it just fits your hand ever so perfectly. It says 3-button control face, so very simple user interface, not complicated with a bunch of buttons everywhere or anything like that. It says signature Vaporflask rounded firing button, adjustment buttons align with face, and it has a micro USB port for upgrading your firmware at the bottom there. It has the Wismec display screen, so if you own a RX200, you're going to have an easy time with this device here because it very similarly replicates the screen of the RX200. Let's see, 2-line organization, so it shows your wattage, your voltage, and your resistance of your coils there. It has output temperature, atomizer resistance, output voltage, battery life indicator. It uses a single 26650, but it also comes with a 18650 adapter, which you'll see in the close-ups. Magnetic swivel battery cover. That's probably my favorite feature of this. That's really the reason I wanted one so bad, is just because of the battery cover itself, which of course, again, you'll see that in the close-ups. And it has radial vent hole designs on the bottom, just in case the worst happens to your battery. It's going to be nice and safe. So yeah, it has stainless steel 510 thread points, which is good. On top, you'll see that again, and a gold-plated spring-loaded 510 connection. So yeah, that is the specs on the Vaporflask's Vape Forward Stout here. So let's go down into the close-up view and see what it's like inside the box. Alright guys, so as you can see here, we have our lovely Vaporflask Stout box. Now I'm just going to show you around the packaging real quick. Really nice silver embossed with a textured box. Very classy looking. So there you go, vapeforward.com. Make sure you visit their site for more information. Their logo, again, everything silver embossed. It's going to be a little bit tricky to catch on the camera, but hopefully it's coming out pretty good. And once again, their website there. On the back, just some quick basic information on this device, what it includes, and what color it is there. That sticker indicates the color. So again, everything textured, silver embossed, very, very nice looking. So as we pull off the cover real quick, let's just go ahead and refocus our camera. First of all, you notice the device itself. There you go. We're going to put that out of the way for just a second here. Kind of a nice velvety kind of topped foam packaging there that it comes in. Again, everything just kind of screams class. And there's the little manual that it comes with. Very helpful with pictures and everything like that. Very detailed. Going to be useful if you're not familiar with the chipset or you know, how to use a regulated mod such as this. It's going to give you all the warnings and everything like that. And then we got lots of different languages as well. So very, very nice manual, very helpful. We have a little scratch and check little thing here for authentication. So make sure you got a legit Vape Forward product, not getting ripped off anywhere. Even the little cover here has the Vape Forward logo on it, which is really nice. It comes with a micro USB cable, which is going to be for upgrading the firmware. I mean, not that we all don't have, you know, a dozen of these laying around the house somewhere, but they give you one anyways, which is a nice touch. And finally, probably the most useful thing in here besides the device itself is the 18650 adapter. Since I know a lot of you guys probably don't have a bunch of 26650s laying around, this thing is going to come in handy. So yeah, that's it. That's all that's in the box there. So I'm just going to put all this stuff aside for now, and let's fire this thing up. So first of all, we just show off this little thing here. Really cool design feature, the sliding battery, and just listen to it. It clicks into place. Very, very nice. Really like that, and that's kind of what sold me on it. When I first saw this device, just saw someone put their battery in, and I said, wow, sold right there. So it just goes positive up, just like normal. You have your vent holes here. I guess we'll go bottom to top on this thing. You have your micro USB. Let's just zoom in the camera here so you can see it. So again, vent holes with your sliding battery cover. Make sure you're pushing in on the battery when you do that too, otherwise you might rip your battery wrapper there. So micro USB port for upgrading. Your up and down buttons here. Not too much rattle in them. A little bit, but not too much. I mean, really nothing to complain about there. You have your standard kind of screen here, just like the Relo. So a lot of you that out there that have the Relo are going to be very familiar with this. And there, no atomizer warning, of course. And the nice clicky fire button. Again, just kind of a little bit rattly, but nothing too bad. But it's very responsive, and it's a quick response time. And then you have your stainless steel 510 connection with a spring-loaded gold-plated actual positive pin, and a little airflow thing here. If your tank is still bottom airflow, that's where you're going to get your airflow for your tank, and the Vape Forward logo on the top there. A little bit hard to see on camera since I did get the white version, but let's see. Let's just see if we can adjust the camera. Maybe that comes out. Hopefully you guys can see what that looks like. So yeah, let's just go over the functions on this thing real quick. It does feature a lock system, so if you press and hold the two buttons at the bottom, it will lock in your whole settings and everything like that. And just hold them down again to unlock. The wattage adjustment is in 0.1 increments, and it does go pretty quickly if you're holding the button down. And we'll go all the way up to 100, and then all the way down. There you go, 1 watt. So, fairly intuitive design there. Nothing out of the ordinary. Pretty much, you know, the same thing we've been dealing with for the past few years on these style devices. Now, if you click the button 4 times, you'll have the wattage menu up here. You can change that using the up and down arrows, or buttons rather. So it has temperature, memory 1, 2, and 3, stainless steel, titanium, and nickel. And of course your bypass mode. That's if you want to fire the full power of the battery. Basically like a mechanical style device. And then back to wattage. And it also, I think you can do a stealth mode somehow. Yeah, stealth mode on. So if you press and hold the up button and the fire button at the same time, you get stealth mode, and that's going to shut off the screen when you're actually vaping it. And to shut the device off, all you have to do is click the fire button 5 times within a 2-second period, and it'll shut it off. There you go. Vape forward splash screen, and we'll turn it back on. Just like that. And it's an instant fire up, which is really great. You kind of notice a little bit of a delay when you hit the fire button and the device actually fires. However, it's very, very negligible as far as that goes. Really not a big complaint on as far as that goes. And it's really only if the screen is turned off. So if the screen is on right now like this, there's a tiny little delay, but really not noticeable. And yeah, let's see. I do have to mention the fact that the battery door at the bottom here is starting to get loose on me, or just doesn't quite sit quite right. Let me see if that's in focus. There we go. So as you can see, there's a bit of a gap right here, and that kind of worries me because I feel like that could get worse over time, and that kind of comes down to how the actual battery door is designed. Unfortunately, mine is just kind of separating a little bit. Just makes it feel like it's not the, amazing quality that I thought it was going to be at first. However, I don't know. It's a minor little thing that's barely noticeable, but it is an issue. I have to mention it. And finally, I've only had this thing for about a month, and already, hopefully you guys can see, 2 little chips right there on the paint. I don't know how that happened. Honestly, I baby this thing, so really not sure how that happened. And as well as the paint on the actual battery door itself kind of came to me in a little bit of a rough shape there, as you can probably see. So wasn't too happy about that. The stainless steel version is the only one that doesn't have this issue, because they basically just clear coated a piece of stainless steel. These are all painted, so that's how it's going to be chipping off like that. So I have a feeling that has to do with just quality control, testing, making sure the battery door slides open and closed, but not too psyched on the condition it came with, or it came to me in there. But otherwise, a fantastic device. I'm just going to back off the camera real quick and just kind of show you how it fits in your hand. Personally, it fits really nicely in my hands. I have a little bit, bigger hands, but it definitely feels like you're gripping something of quality. My only advice would be make sure you lock your settings, because I could definitely see how you accidentally squeeze on it a little bit too hard and accidentally adjust your wattage up. So I usually keep my settings locked. That way I can just kind of not have to worry about the bottom 2 buttons there and just worry about the fire button. And yeah, it works great though. Honestly, I've been using this thing nonstop for about a month now, and I can't get enough of it because it is a really nice piece of design. So anyways, that about does it for the close-up portion of the video. Let's go back to the main screen, have a quick vape on this thing, and we'll talk about it a little bit more. Alright guys, hope you enjoyed the close-up section. Now we're going to move on to some of my thoughts on this device, some pros, some cons, and whether or not I would purchase this if I did not get it for a review. So first of all, we're going to start off with the pros. My first pro is going to be the form factor. This thing is absolutely gorgeous. I mean, it just looks nice. It looks very classy and sleek and elegant, and it fits your hand just so ergonomically and just so great. Not to mention the fact that it's a little bit smaller than my Rouleau, so it's going to go with me pretty much everywhere I go. I was using the Rouleau as my go-to kind of driving mod with a tank on top, and I just switched it out for a dripper when I got to my destination. However, having a separate mod for traveling and stuff like that is great. Just kind of a grab-and-go thing. This tank hasn't really even left the top of my Stout since I received it, so this is my grab-and-go setup. So my second pro is going to be the price. Now, it's only $89 online for most of the places that I was looking at. I think that's a great deal. You really can't go wrong with that price point. So yeah, I just think it's good for an intermediate step, I guess. If you're not really looking to upgrade to a 200 watt box mod, but you want a little bit more battery life and you want a little bit more power than a single 18650 mod, then this is definitely going to be reasonable for you. So with that being said, let's see, buttons are raised. I like the fact that the buttons feel really nice. It's a very intuitive kind of control. The fire button is a nice kind of clicky button, very responsive, and just feels good in the hand. It feels like you're holding something of quality. My next pro is going to be the upgradable firmware. Hopefully, they might come out with some even better software for this thing to kind of balance it a little bit more. Not saying it's unbalanced as it is, but I feel like they might be able to do something with the menu system and stuff like that in the future. So I'll be looking forward to any future firmware updates for the Vaporflask. And my final pro is going to be that it comes with the 18650 adapter. This thing is invaluable in my eyes because there's been many cases. I mean, I only have two 26650 batteries, so when one's on the charger and I'm puffing on this thing all the time, I definitely can kill a 26650 faster than one can charge, so I'll just pop an 18650 in there with this thing here, and it will go for a few more hours until my other battery's charged. So very, very, very useful tool there. Now let's go ahead and move on to some cons. My first con is going to be the fact that the actual 510 connection and this end of the device really is 22 millimeters in diameter. Now, granted, I think it looks gorgeous with this griffin on top here, and same thing goes with the Tsunami or any other 22 millimeter RDA or RTA or tank or anything like that out there. It's going to look really, really nice with that on it. However, a lot of tanks are coming out nowadays that are 25 or 24 millimeters in diameter, and I feel like that just wouldn't fit this whole form factor thing. It would definitely throw off the aesthetic a little bit. I mean, it's a minor complaint for me personally because I really don't feel like I would need anything else than a griffin on top of here or Kennedy 22 or a Tsunami or something like that. However, I can see where people would get a little bit upset if they wanted a Griffin 25 or something like that, and it's just going to look a little bit goofy on this thing. My second con is going to be the single cell battery dip. Now, for those of you that have used a single battery box mod before in the past, you're going to notice a significant dip in your battery, especially if you're using the higher wattages. I mean, I only use this thing regularly at 50 watts, and I'll get down to about 25% before the battery just can't handle the dip anymore in power. So I'll get a weak battery warning, and it'll slowly kind of just die off and give me the full power of the battery as much as it can, really, to try to keep up. However, there's a significant battery dip, so even on a 26650 battery, once I get down to 25%, then it just kind of dies off and it's really no good to me anymore. My next con is going to be the 100 watts is a little bit high even for a 26650. Now, I could see this device being, a maximum of 75 watts, and it would just definitely be a good performance. But once you try to go anything over 75 watts on a 26650 battery, it's going to be a little bit draining to the battery, so you're really going to notice a weak battery even sooner. So more like 35 to 50% battery life, you're going to get a significant dip in that battery, and it's not going to be able to perform at 100 watts. Now, I've noticed that it does go sort of into a bypass mode once it hits the weak battery. However, you're still not going to get the performance. It's almost like you're using a mechanical mod where your battery just slowly kind of dies off, and that's not fun for anyone, really. Also, the battery life. Like I've been saying, yeah, the battery dip, the battery life, all that stuff, it just kind of doesn't really hold up. A single 26650 battery will only last me about, say, 5 or 6 hours, I'd guess, if I'm just puffing on this thing here by itself. However, a dual battery box mod is going to last you almost twice that amount of time. So I could see where they kind of went a little bit off with their design idea. I mean, it's a great idea in general, but honestly, I would have rather kind of went with the dual 18650 version rather than a single 26650 version. But yeah, I guess that was my own fault. So anyways, there's not many 26650s on the market. Now, there's a very short list of recommended 26650 batteries out there, and there's really not much difference between them. I mean, I've got MNKEs in here right now, and they're a little bit older, so I would really like to get some new ones, but honestly, I really don't know which direction I would go in at this point in time, because there's just only, 4 or 5 different, good quality choices out there for you to choose from. That's not necessarily a fault of the designers or the mod or anything like that. It's just the fact that, you're not going to find a whole lot of options out there as far as what you can actually put in this device. So my next con is going to be the screen is tinted and it's almost impossible to see in broad daylight. Now, it does have the same exact kind of style board as the Wismic Rouleau. However, the screen cover itself, to make it nice and shiny, is tinted. So therefore, you're not going to be able to see that in direct sunlight, or it's very difficult to see. I mean, honestly, I find myself putting my hand over it to just kind of shade it a little bit so I can adjust my settings real quick. But otherwise, I think that is kind of a design flaw. I mean, yeah, it looks a little bit sleeker and a little bit more stylish, but I go usually function over fashion. So my final con is that the paint is starting to chip off on this thing already. I've had it for about a month and I really haven't put it through a full torture test. I mean, it usually goes with me. I'll put it in my pocket and I'll use it while I'm driving, and then I'll put it on my desk, or when I'm at the shop, it'll just stay on the counter at the shop. So really haven't put it through its, a full, torture test, but I still already have a few little chips on it, which are kind of disappointing, unfortunately. But anyways, that about does it for the cons. Now let's move on to whether or not I would purchase this device if I did not receive it for free for the purpose of doing this review. And my answer would be no. Unfortunately, I would have to say that I would probably go with the dual 18650 version of this, because there is not only a single 18650, but there's also a dual 18650 version of the Vaporflask out there right now. And I probably would steer more in the direction of using the dual 18650 just to prevent that battery dip like I've been talking about for the past 5 minutes. But yeah, I love the form factor of this. Unfortunately, I hate to say no, because I love the form factor. I love the look and feel of it overall. However, I just feel like it's not practical for me to carry around everywhere I go, and it's just not quite enough battery power for my liking. So anyways, guys, that about does it for this video. Hope you enjoyed. If you did, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe for more videos just like this. Of course, leave a comment in the box below of what you think of the Vaporflask Stout and what Vape Forward is doing to the Stout kind of name and form factor as far as their different mods they have on the market nowadays. Of course, check out the advocacy links I have in the description below. Now is the best time to get involved with advocacy. Make sure you're fighting for your right to vape. And of course, check me out on all my different social medias. I have Twitter and Instagram. Make sure you follow me on there. Like my page on Facebook. Check out my Snapchat. And of course, if you want to fund this channel of mine, make sure you check out my Patreon. So anyways, guys, that about does it. And as always, vape on.